Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to the first episode of a new series that I'm calling Mastering Astral Projection, your map to running RPGs online. I recently saw a brilliant short film on YouTube called Joining Call. And what it was it basically a parody or like a comedy about a group that's trying to run a D&D session or an RPG session in general online. And it kind of highlights all the different problems that people can have and makes light of them, and it's really funny. But it got me to the thinking. Something that I saw at the beginning of this, I'm not even going to mention it, but this era we are in. When it comes to things like live play RPG shows, and also with a lot of the D&D community, was there was this huge, like really large bit of hesitation and trepidation when it came to shifting from in-person RPGs to running them online. And I saw a number of different reasons as to why people were extremely hesitant to do this. They ranged from things like, well, it's just not the same without people in the room, which is true. Some of the live play RPG shows, actually, quite a few of them said basically this is the same thing, which is, well, we create this very high quality product, and if we were to shift it online, we would not be able to put out the quality that you've all come to suspect from us, and so we can't do that. I don't agree with that as a statement. I haven't. I've said it before on here. But I understand the thought process behind it. And after watching Joining Call, I think I actually it was almost like a door open for me when I'd only been looking through a keyhole. I have been running D&D games online since technically since fourth edition. The first game I ever ran on the line was a fourth edition parody game. Or no, that one actually was D&D Next, I think. Um, I'm actually not 100% certain which edition, but it was well before D&D Next even got its wheels really spinning, and it was during the era when fourth edition was still the official D&D edition. And I have been running RPGs online regularly since then. I have probably a few thousand hours of running RPGs online. So when everything happened, I had already, because of my mental health, I had already shifted away years before from running games in person because I physically couldn't do it. But when everything kind of shifted to online, I thought that this was going to be something relatively simple. Because again, I started playing D&D in a game store, and within I think 6 months to a year, I had run my first game online. And I just became very familiar with kind of the differences between running in person and running on the line. And just through sheer experience, I learned very quickly what things work, what things don't work. And it was never very confusing to me. But after watching Joining Call, I'm starting to understand why people are so afraid of running games online. And we're not even talking about streaming. I eventually will get to that topic. But just taking the group that they have played with in person and running a game online scares a lot of people. So this series is going to talk about best practices on how to run a game on the line. And there will be an episode later on that will talk about tech and what programs to use and what ones not to use. That's really boring and really technical, and I don't want to do that. Mostly because at the beginning, mostly because a lot of people already have their preferences, and if I recommend something that they don't, they may tune out the rest of this. And the vast majority of the things you need to do to run a game online, as opposed to in person, have nothing to do with the tech, and everything to do with how you run your game. So for this first episode, I'm actually going to focus on something that is a necessity for me. Even if I didn't think this was a good idea for everyone, I have to do this because I stream all of my games, and it's just a part of the streaming process. And that is, there's a time when we are off in the beginning. There's a middle part, which is the longest part, where we are live and we are playing. And then there's a time at the end after we have stopped this stream where the players are still there, but there's no audience. Because of that, I've learned a really important part of running a game online is get everyone there. The entire group needs to be there, and then have a period of time where you just chat. You crack jokes, you talk about stuff that's going on. You may talk about D&D. When Tasha's Kika came out, most of my pre-game chat was, oh, did you guys read this? Oh, I just made a video on this. That's really important, because what it does is it gets everyone involved, and it gets everyone interacting. As the DM, something that you really should be doing in this little chit chat period in the beginning is make sure you're talking to everyone. See who's answering, who isn't. Ask questions of people that haven't said anything. While everyone is kind of signing into the call or the program or whatever, acknowledge when they get here, say hi, explain what the topic of conversation is, but invite everyone to join in. And if the topic gets dull, switch to another one. I generally tend to recommend avoid the same things you would have avoided at a family dinner. Or anything like that, where avoid topics that are going to cause people to argue and things like that. They generally don't talk about religion, politics. That's the thing that people say. It's not a bad idea for this, because again, the entire purpose of this pre-game chatter is to get everyone into the mindset that they're no longer alone in their room. They're now at a table with their friends. One of the biggest issues I see, and it's talked about a lot in, or it's joked about a lot in joining call, is that everyone seems to be dealing with their own thing. And one of the things I hear constantly from people that say, well, I really don't like playing games on the line or running games online, is because it's impossible to get people focused. At a table, everyone is there. They have a physical table. They have something to focus on. But when you're online, like I'm in my room right now, the spot I am sitting right now is the exact same spot I sit in when I run my games, when I watch movies, when I play video games. There's nothing special about this that's going to make me treat it differently. So that beginning time when everyone is there, and again, I have to emphasize this, the conversation doesn't stop once the last player arrives. That's when this time starts. I'm not saying don't talk to people as they arrive. Talk to everyone. Have a nice chit chat. I'm saying as soon as the last person arrives, that's when it starts benefiting the entire group. The easiest way for your game to fall apart is for people to not feel like they're part of the group. Um, in my games, I tell my players the exact same the thing because again, I stream these and I have to be on at a certain time, and for a lot of them, I have to end at a certain time for scheduling reasons and things like that. So I tell my players, you are required to be in the call at least 15 minutes before we go live. And there are tech motivations for that. If I have to change overlays, generally with the programs I use, I generally have to make adjustments every single time I run the game because Zoom doesn't put uh, video in the same place every time. So I generally have to switch around nameplates and things like that. So there is a practical reason to do it. But 15 minutes, somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes, is generally a good beginning chat time. You can go longer than that. I've had them last for half an hour and still run a very productive game. But I would highly recommend not going less than that if you can avoid it. You need them to get into this space that, hey, I'm no longer here, I'm here. It also will help people get comfortable. It also will help them kind of leave their problems at the door because you can acknowledge things there as well. Oh my God, I've just had the worst day. You know, my girlfriend got sick, and I spent the whole day with her, and I just feel really bad because she's been sick all day. Or you know, I had this really bad fight with my husband, and you know, we're speaking now, but it's been rough. Or you know, a million other things. My anxiety's high. I'm having a bad depression day. I'm having a bad hair day. My irritable bowel syndrome has been acting up. All of these things can be acknowledged, can be kind of talked about. The group itself can kind of make its own rules for what is appropriate and inappropriate to speak about at these beginning times for chatting, but is an essential part of being able to get everyone invested into your game. The next incredibly essential part, which again, the only reason I use this is because I have a history in theater and film training. And one of the things you do anytime you have something live is you have a countdown to when it starts. Before every show I do goes live, somebody does a countdown. For most of them, it's me. I will go, all right, guys, is everybody ready? I get acknowledged from everyone. Perfect. We're going on live in 5, 4, 3. Hello again, adventurers, and we play. That countdown, that signal that, okay, now we were chatting, we were having fun. We are now shifting gears and going into the game. It's easier to get people to kind of buy into it if you are streaming it, because they don't want to be the person that when the stream goes live, they're in the middle of a sentence and just sound kind of awkward, and whatever they're saying obviously will be taken out of context because the other half of the context doesn't exist in this stream. So it's a little easier to get the buy-in from that. But I do something else once we are live that you, if you don't want to actually do a physical countdown because you're not streaming. Something I do with every one of my streams is I have an announcement period. I run games for Zelda Universe because Zelda Universe is much bigger than my single game I run for them, we always have things we have to talk about. Oh yeah, guys, Zelda Universe just put out this review of Age of Calamities. Go check the YouTube channel. Or tomorrow, Amanda's going to be playing this game. Check it out. Or ZUathon is going to be coming up in the next month, so be sure to tune in. We're raising money for this charity this year. That again kind of gets back to that idea of that beginning chat time. We have a beginning chat time when we go live, where the players can actually interact with chat as well. Chat is effectively another player, which again I'll have an episode I do on streaming that talks about the intricacies of that aspect if you want to try streaming your game. But after we get through the announcements, I crack some jokes with the cast, and we chat with everyone, and just feel very kind of invested. And this is where we are. We're now in the game. I will go, okay, now it's time to return to the realms of the wild. And then I have a song that is copyright free that I play. And I have a different song for every single game that I run. And so I start the music, and then I do a brief recap of what's been going on so that we can jump into to the game and everyone knows what we're doing. Having that countdown, that, and now we return to this, where we go from, oh, we're chatting and we're friends, to, oh, we're a party of adventurers, and this crazy voice is just describing everything that's happening to me. That distinction really gets rid of a lot of the issues that people complain about. Oh, somebody's on their phone, blah, 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 blah. Oh, somebody's looking for their dice. Or, oh, someone is going off and doing this. Or combat comes to their turn and they weren't paying attention, so they don't know what's going on. Just having that very, boom, now we're playing the game, is a really good way from a psychological perspective to kind of partition off that part of your brain, and everyone gets the idea that, okay, now we're doing this. I'm not on my phone anymore. I'm not doing this. I'm just focusing on the game. I'm not saying distractions don't happen. That's one of the other topics we're going to cover in this. I'm saying have that hard point where you go, now we're chatting. The chatting is really important. Now we're playing. And have something that you do every single time. Ritualize the act of going from we're chatting to we're playing the game. That's why I do the exact same introduction every single time for every one of my games. I started it because it's a branding thing. It's good if you have an audience to have consistency like that. It's just as good when you're running it for your players. And all these things that I'm talking about here for running a game online work just as well at the table. They're just not as necessary, because at the table you have things like a physical table that you can talk about. You have things like being able to look at someone in the eyes. You have things like being able to go, hey, knock on the table, go, we're doing this now, I need you to pay attention. You can't really do that online. So because of that, we need these steps. You need to have an opening to chat time. You need to have a countdown. This is us changing from chat time to play time. You don't need to be mean about it. You don't need to be authoritative about it. You don't need to command people. You must be invested in my game. You just need it to be there. The way our brains are wired, they will react to that without you having to force it. Obviously, there will always be situations where this won't work. This is not 100% the thing. This is something I have found has given me the best results most of the time. Someday I may do an entire series about how to deal with issues at the table and stuff like that, like a DM advice kind of thing. That's not what this is. This is just telling you this is how you get your online game going, and so that it doesn't feel like a waste of the time. After the game is over, you need an end point. Again, for streams, this is really, really simple. Every single game, at the end of the game, I go, and that is where we're going to end it for tonight. Thank you to everyone that showed up. If you missed any of the episode, we do upload them all blank. Again, this is very ritualized. People like rituals. Even atheists like rituals. It's just how we're built. Rituals are simply things that we do the same way, the same time, and have some deeper meaning to us personally. Whether it is a conscious meaning or a subconscious meaning, people like rituals. And that's what these points need to be. And that's where we're going to stop for today. Is that notice point of we're now done. We're going back to being the people we are in everyday life, and we're no longer our characters. I'm no longer the DM. Like I said, it is easier to get people to buy into this when you're streaming, but it's not difficult to get people to buy into it after you're just done with this session. Again, do your best to ritualize it. Pick a phrase you really like, and that's what we're going to pick up next week, guys. And you'll find out how that goes next time. Pick a phrase, pick something, so that every time you say it, it can become Pavlovian. They know, oh, we are done. Now, the most important part is after that is not, and that's what we'll pick it up tomorrow. Good night. Blink. No. After the game is over, you need to keep talking. Go, hey, how was that for you guys? Did you have fun? Let them give you reactions. Make a joke. Wow, I have never seen so many nat ones in my life. Burn that die. That die needs to die. Don't put it in jail. It will simply clog up the system. Burn it. Remove it from existence. Things like that, so that people get back into the idea that, hey, I'm still not alone. I haven't just been taken out of this game and then thrust into the real world. This is a period of time where you can kind of get back to, oh, I'm feeling better. I'm back where I'm supposed to be. I'm in my room again. I don't have to be focused here. I can be focused everywhere. This kind of cooldown to time doesn't have to be nearly as long. 5 minutes can be more than enough. It depends on your group dynamic. I generally don't talk for an exorbitant amount of time, because my anxiety makes that hard. By the time I'm getting to the end of a session, I'm generally starting to feel the beginnings of a panic attack. And I have to get off relatively quickly. That being said, even when I'm in full-blown panic attack mode, I will take at least a few seconds to go, hey, how'd you guys think about that? Did you have fun? That cooldown time is just as important as that pre-chat time. They're very, very important. Thank you, phone. Definitely have a cooldown time afterward. Again, doesn't need to be long, just long enough to go, hey, that was really fun. I generally recommend, if you can, whatever chat program you're using, if you can leave the chat room up after you leave and let people just kind of leave as they want, it's going to work better. Because some people need a little bit more cooldown time than others. Some people can't handle that much cooldown time, whether it's because they have somewhere they have to go immediately, whether it's just being in conversations, close conversations like that, can feel a little too intimate for some people. There's a lot of different the things that can happen. Um, but it is a necessary part of ensuring that your online game is not going to feel wrong. And that's what this whole series is going to be about: is how can I make this online game feel right, feel just as much fun as playing at it at the table? How do I get the same connection with other people? I've done it. And I've been doing it for years. It is not impossible. It does take some work. And it takes some commitment from everyone involved. But as long as people are willing to make a little bit of a commitment, you can have just as rewarding an experience online as you can have at the table. I promise you. So, quick recap. When you run a game online, you need to have a pre-game chat period, and it needs to be at least around 15 minutes. For your group, it may be a little bit longer, but once the last person arrives, start a little timer in your head and just chat with people. Obviously, if 15 minutes just seems too long to you, you can modify this. From what I found, 15 minutes tends to be this is a sweet spot, give or take, 5-ish minutes. So have a pregame chat. When you go from chat to the game, you need a countdown. You don't have to physically kick a countdown, but you need some sort of ritualized phrase, statement, or just gesture that excuse me, that we are going from the game, or we are going from chatting to the game. Now we are playing. When you're done with the game, you need a cutoff. You need something that goes, we are no longer playing a game. Pick a phrase, pick a gesture, pick something that you can, again, ritualize so that all your players get used to it. It becomes familiar, becomes something that they're waiting for. And then after the game is over, have a cooldown to chat. Generally, at least for 5 minutes. And if possible, whatever program you're using to communicate, try and make it so that the chat can exist after you leave. So that the people that do need a little bit longer cooldown can continue speaking with each other and continue forming bonds. And for the people that don't need that long of a cooldown chat, they can leave and get back to their lives. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you find this interesting. As always, if you did enjoy it, please hit the like button. Lets me know that you like it. Lets Google know that you like it. And hopefully they will allow other people to like it as well. In addition, hit the subscribe button. In addition to this series, I also have a series called the D&D Deep Dive, where I give tips on how to play classes and subclasses and that, so that you can get the most out of your choices. So I put out at least 2 to 3 videos a week. Subscribe so you can see them all. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss them when I put them up at odd hours. And in the comments below, what questions do you have for me? Like I said, I've been doing this for like 6 or 7 years now. I've been doing online games for a very long time, longer than most. What questions would you like to see me tackle in this series? Put them in the comments below. Again, that's all for me, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye!